Hey everybody, welcome to episode 17 of World Building with DMDave. Come a long way from the beginning, from picking a map from Dyson's Mega Delve, coloring it up, throwing it in a Roll20, putting in a bunch of encounters, and we've actually started writing this lovely adventure up now. Last time we came up with the general features for it, so we kind of know what the overall design of these caverns are going to be. We've got some sort of interesting ideas in there, like the Grimlocks that can have hearing and smell. There's some dangerous drops throughout the place to kind of act as natural hazards. Now we're going to want to write the entrance. Okay, so the entrance, if you don't remember, is going to be right here, and we put two swarms of centipedes in there, as they've got blind sight like the Grimlocks. So a lot of that leads down. So let's go ahead and get started with it. The hole in the ground that this is 30-foot hole, so we'll reinforce that. The 30-foot hole in the ground descends into a 10-foot wide natural cavern that curves to the south. A crude wooden pallet blocks further passage into the tunnels. Hidden, and that's really all we need for there. Don't really need further passage south. We don't really need to do more than that because it's mostly covered by the characters discovered in the foothills of well, what did we call it? Brimley. It's terrible. I forget moment to moment, y'all. Brimsey Rise. Descends. The 30-foot hole in the ground the characters discovered in the foothills of Brimsey Rise descends into a 10-foot wide natural cavern. A brewed wooden pallet blocks further passage south. Alright, and that's really all we need for that. The general feature is going to cover most of that stuff for us. I really don't feel it even needs a text block. I mean, I guess we could put it there to kind of like introduce it in our voice, but I think the general features has done enough for that. The point of a read aloud text within the adventure is really to point out features that the general or the game master should share verbatim, particularly clues that the character should pick up on. Really, there's nothing that the map and the general features can't do. Maybe drive home the fact that it's dark, so we'll say blanket it in darkness. But we've got our encounter, so I like to split up the encounters using a further. We'll use another heading or another header. Though I'm not usually going to use an H4 for this. I'm actually going to do encounter. And I'm going to type swarms of centipedes. And we are going to put a period at the end of that and actually bold it. We are going to bold it, and we are going to italicize it, and then we're going to write in the encounter two swarms of centipedes hide among the rocks of this passage. They attack any creature that moves through this area. The Grimlocks can sense the centipedes and scare them off by swinging their clubs as they pass through the area. Alright, so that's how the Grimlocks get past them. So we've kind of answered that. So using them as like a natural defense, and yeah. Alright, so that's our natural passage. I don't think we have any treasure in there, so let's look back at our planning sheet just to be sure. Yep, we're good there. Alright, we'll go ahead and write up the second area too. So collapsed passage, this long twisting tunnel terminates in a wall of loose rubble. You know what? We want to. This is actually would be a good when the characters first enter this area. Read the following. So we're going to do a text block. Loose rubble. Poking out below the rubble is a let's see, a skeleton that a skeleton pokes out from underneath the rubble. Its hands clutch a large stone that seems to have crushed its chest during the collapse. A few feet from the skeleton rests a some kind of cool magic item, a silver, not even a magic item, a silver amulet with a gleaming white stone. Alright, so that is our collapsed passage. Remember, that's over here. We're gonna have him right here, the dead guy holding onto the boulder, like, you know, dying like Chester Copperpot in the Goonies. And we'll say encounter 2 dark mantles. Encounter dark mantles. 2 dark mantles disguised as stalactites. Remember, tights, T goes down, mites go up. Of course, it probably helps if I spell it right. 2 dark mantles disguised as stalactites hang from the 10-foot high ceilings of this cavern. They patiently wait for creatures to move past them toward the skeleton. Then they patiently wait for the characters. Then drop darkness over the area. From there, they assault the nearest target. Okay, there's our dark mantles. Let's bold and italicize that. And then the treasure we'll do next. Treasure, silver amulet. Alright, let me grab my DMG, which I got right here. We're going to go to our treasure tables. Treasure tables give us a good sense of balance. Let's make it a gem worth 50 gold pieces. So let's put a I said it was a gleaming white gem, so I think sardonyx would be cool. The amulet on the ground is made of pure silver and set with a sardonyx stone. It's worth 75 gold pieces. Let's see, there is nothing else of value on the corpse. Alright, cool. Let's go ahead and highlight this so we know we're supposed to read it. And that's that. And then you just keep working your way down. It's really simple. So you can see we've covered the entrance looks like. We got a collapsed passage with the reading thing. The reason I put the read aloud text here is because I want to make sure that the DM mentions both the skeleton trapped under the rubble as well as the amulet nearby. It's as sort of a bait. Then immediately they can see why the bait's there, the dark mantles, and if they successfully defeat the dark mantles, they get the silver amulet. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and do the Shrieker cave real quick too. There's really nothing. I'm gonna say there's nothing different about this cave other than the Shriekers, so we don't really need to do much different with it. We'll just say, actually no. Let's have let's telegraph that there are these Shriekers here. So if we need to be, I need to be reminded what a Shrieker can do just for its range. Good monster to use though. Remember, they have false appearance, so you can't see them because they're motionless. Bright light or creature within 30 feet of the Shrieker. Okay, cool. Alright. This cavern is covered in purple fungi that clings to the, let's write this out a little bit better. Purple fungi clings to the walls and floors of this damp cavern. And then we'll say encounter Shriekers. Some of the fungus is as large as a full-grown donkey. I don't know. Full-grown mule. Because Shriekers are medium, so they're like mushrooms that are like as tall as me. The Shriekers will say there are 5 Shriekers hidden among the fungus of this cavern. If the characters come within 30 feet of the Shriekers or have a lit torch within, if the characters, what does their actual thing say? Bright light or a creature. The moment the characters or any source of light they are carrying comes within 30 feet of the Shriekers, they start to shriek, alerting all of the Grimlocks throughout the complex, including those in the lower levels, to the presence of the characters. Okay, cool. That's all we need for that. Shriekers are pretty much, I mean, all they do is shriek. They're not really going to fight. They don't have any way to fight. Just a living alarm system. Let's see if we'll forget anything there. Moving on to section 4. This drop-off is described in general features, so we don't have to worry about that. Probably should put a note. Let's actually move this 4 up a little bit. And we'll have the Grimlocks up some too. And we'll say the drop-off there leads down. There's also a secret door. Okay, so this will be the last one we do for this video. Alright, this cave hosts... Alright, unless the characters were extremely careful, there are 3 Grimlocks hidden here waiting for them to arrive. Okay, so the reason I haven't done this as an encounter is like this is going to be an ambush. They immediately ambush any characters who enter these tunnels. Using their keen senses, they target northeastern passage. This drop off and subsequent tunnel leads down to the lower levels of the Morlock retreat. So that's just to give instructions. Like if I were to sell this, this would give instructions to someone who didn't realize where that goes. And I'll probably put a note in Roll20 as well. And then secret passage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 30 feet south, 25 feet south of the northeastern passage. The Grimlocks have layered canvas coated in gray mud over a secret opening. Discovering this secret door requires a successful DC 15 wisdom perception check. The layers of canvas are easy to move, requiring no check. Okay. Alright, cool. Whoops. Alright, so there's a secret passage. We got a northeastern passage. Always make sure also to put your monsters that you call out in bold. This is a reference to the monster manual. So when you're reading it, you can see immediately that there are dark mineral shriekers, grimlocks, and we need to go back and do those swarms of centipedes. Alright, cool. So we get the first 4 areas of our Grimlock tunnels written out. Only 5 more after this. I'll probably go through and do those off camera here, so you don't have to totally watch me, but at least hopefully you've gotten some idea of how you want to construct your areas in your dungeon. Generally, the way you want to do is sort of a an order of operations in terms of what you should express in it. First, always put any sort of obstacles that may prevent the characters from moving freely in that room. Typically, like if you had to reference a locked door that prevented getting into the area, that'd be like one of the first things you put. Next, once they get through that, you want to give broad details of the area, anything that they can pretty much gain through their basic senses of just scanning the room: sight, smell, sound. Anything that does not require a trigger, it's just there. Next, anything that is triggered by the appearance of the characters in that area, typically for the first time, so monsters, any traps that immediately would go off, put those in there. You probably also want to call out any sort of clues. You can do that in the reload text, so kind of like Al had that skeleton with the amulet beside him. It's clear bait, but I want to make sure that the GM expresses that to the characters, because if he doesn't, it might it doesn't really work as well, or it may not work as well. You never know. Then after that, start getting further and further down into details. Like you go from to encounters. Next, you go to smaller details that may not have been as immediately obvious. So like this northeastern passage, for example, is one example of that. Then you start doing secrets that they actually have to take some active participation to find. So in this case, there's a secret passage that leads into the wall there. They'd have to do an actual search for that. And that's generally how you're going to go. You're going to start with obstacles, then you're going to start with broad details, work your way down to any kind of triggers, and then all the way to things that they actively have to search. Okay. Anyways, I hope this was useful and informative. I will see you in the next video when we will probably work on our adventure conclusion. Anyways, thank you so much. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.